Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all here today. Welcome to our Sunday morning service. My name's Susan MacDonnell, and I'll be the service leader today. Whether in person or on Zoom, we're grateful to be together. If you're here on Zoom, you're one of many across Mexico, Canada, the U.S., and other places in the world even, who are joining our service today. We strive to be a loving community for each other and for our neighbors. We are mindful always that the physical community of San Miguel De Allende, which we share, is located on the ancestral lands of the Chichimeca, Otomi, and Nahua peoples. We are all welcome here, of any faith or no particular faith. We're welcome here. People of all abilities and gifts are welcome, as are people of all affectional orientations and gender identities, and income levels, and thoughts and questions about matters of faith and beyond. We are all welcome. There won't be a Zoom chat after today's service, but if you're on Zoom, you can remain after the postlude and connect with others. If you're here in person and you have a few minutes after service, we invite you to stop by the coffee table downstairs and visit with Judy Rosenthal and the other Shakespeare actors from today's service. Just if you have coffee or goodies, add a little bit of contribution to the basket so that we can cover the costs to the restaurant. And other announcements, of course, can always be found in the order of service or in the weekly newsletter. We have an exciting number of new small group opportunities, lunch and games, the men's breakfast group, Circle Cena, and more. So if you want to know more about that and want to join in, just check out the website or the newsletter. And I'm also going to do our chalice reading, and I'll light the candle right after that, because it's nice and short and sweet. As We Travel in Unknown Lands by Barnaby Fetter. We kindle a flame we trust will lead us forward as we travel in unknown lands, where the question, shall I ever get there, resounds, a clear, pure note in every silence. And let's join our voices together in song for hymn 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. I invite you to stand as you're willing and able here in the service, and the words will also appear on your screen. 361 in the hymnal, or from the screen. was great. That was what we call foot stomping music. Now I invite all of us to join together in reciting this fellowship's unique covenant. First, we will recite it in English, and then with Diana leading us in Spanish. You'll see the words on the screen. We respect the interdependent web of life, work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. Is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos para mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
Okay, and Hilary will come up now for our joys and concerns.
Good morning. I'm Hilary Torilla, and I'm a four-year member of the UU congregation, and I'm also on the care team for the same amount of time. Welcome again. This is an important time in our service when, as a community, we can share one another's burdens and occasions for gladness. In honor of our Shakespearean theme this morning, Tom has provided me with some words of wisdom relating to joys and concerns. Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak knits up the overwrought heart and bids it break. And from Midsummer Night's Dream, where joy mostly revels, grief does most lament. Grief joys, joy grieves on slender accident. If you would like to share a joy or concern next time, feel free to send an email to Tom Rosiello before next weekend. However, if you want to provide one today, you can type it into the chat box. Obviously, I'm talking to our Zoom listeners. We light a candle of joy for Maxine Arnold, who was the recipient of last Sunday's flowers, which I delivered to her. She was thrilled to receive them and gives many thanks to the UU congregation for having chosen her. She continues to improve from a fall 2 weeks ago when she sustained a broken wrist and head trauma. We light a candle of concern for the country of Japan on the assassination of their former Prime Minister, Shinzo Abe. To quote Pope Francis on this tragedy, we pray that Japanese society will be strengthened in its historic commitment to peace and nonviolence. Another candle lit in concern for the continuing shooting violences in the United States, and another candle of concern for the burgeoning and worsening economic crisis in Sri Lanka. Yet another concern, we light a candle sending healing thoughts and prayers to both Betsy Davis and Jim Harper, who both have COVID. Thankfully, their symptoms are not severe. In Jim's words, no worse than a summer cold. The flowers that are right in front of me here, as a matter of fact, are provided by Eleanor Goodwin today from the Mis Hermanas group, of which I am one. And she will be delivering the flowers to both Betsy and Jim later on today. Another concern, this one for Hugh Tomlinson, who is getting over COVID for the second time. Thankfully, this time with less serious symptoms. And I now have one of joy, a candle of joy for the several new social groups and gatherings here at UU. Another women's group, a men's group, a games group, and the first Circle Cena in some time. This candle is also in much gratitude to Eleanor Goodwin, who works tirelessly to organize these groups and events, as we all know. And last but not least, two brand new items. We send love and support to Joan Wolfe on the anniversary of her husband John's transitioning last July. And surprise, surprise, we have Alan Ziestman back with us. I just saw him walk in. I believe he's recovering quite well from surgery. Is that not correct, Alan? And it's so good to see you both again. My page here. Okay. And the final candle. We light our eternal blue and yellow candle for the people of Ukraine, suffering war and displacement, as well as all refugees and all those affected by war. And a final candle for all of those joys, sorrows, and concerns that have not been shared, but are held unspoken in our hearts. Please join me in a few moments of silence to allow us to share these concerns. And now we welcome back Miguel Omaña for a musical meditation.
Good morning. My name is Robin Loving, and I'm a proud member of our Social Action Committee. Our fellowship has a long-standing tradition of providing generously for those in need in the San Miguel Mexican community. We do this through a rigorous grant program that explores how impactful we can be, this year with 12 different community-based organizations that are doing the good work that we all know about. Today's offering will go to support our fellowship and the work of our community partners. It's universal knowledge that we UUs think a lot about how to improve the community, and that our support has enhanced our community in dramatic ways. Think hundreds of scholarships for first-time goers to school, to junior high school, to high school, to college. Think water, we all need it, and God knows we don't have it, not enough of it, but we're working on it. And think other good things in the community, including childcare, which is so needed so that our moms, our single moms, can go to work and provide for their children. So as you reflect on your offering today, consider the impactful words of Shakespeare's wise guidance, which mirrors our UU spirit. Be great as you in act as you are in thought. And remember, as Lady Macbeth said, thy nature is full of the milk of human kindness. That resonates with us UUs. You may give when the basket is passed, or you may go to UUFSMA.org and share your gifts to continue to make San Miguel the best city in the world. Thank you in advance for your generosity. The offering will now be collected and most gratefully received.
Good morning. My name is Judy Rosenthal, and let me tell you a little bit about San Miguel's Shakespeare readers and why I believe his plays can be enjoyed by every person. In 2018, I assumed the leadership of the San Miguel Shakespeare Readers, a group that has been part of San Miguel for over 50 years. When its leader, Olivia Cole, suddenly died in 2015, I inherited hundreds of her paperback copies of the plays. I have 10 for all 37 of his plays. I use these scripts in our meetings. Olivia Cole was a charismatic actress and a 2-time Emmy Award winner. She had received an excellent education from Bard College, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London, and a master's degree in theater arts from the University of Minnesota. I attended her group in San Miguel for 12 years. My own background was more academic than theatrical. I taught at a public university in Fresno, California for 34 years. I taught Shakespeare and I taught English literature. However, I always stressed that his plays were not simply texts, but they were plays to be performed. In addition, I always liked Olivia's philosophy about Shakespeare. She felt that his plays were for everyone, from the universities to the streets. With her connections with Black Hollywood, she had been in the original Roots, and so she knew a lot of Black Hollywood stars. She established a private school in Los Angeles for Black elementary school students, where young children read and perform the plays. So she was really acting out her philosophy that the plays are for everyone. Let me explain to you briefly what the Shakespeare readers are, first by saying what it is not. It's not a class. It's not to study the plays or to act in them. Instead, we read the plays out loud with a minimum of background. Our goal is just to let the words work. My job is simply to cast the different parts. So let me say, the universality of Shakespeare. Okay, when I began to teach in Fresno, I had often heard about the so-called universality of the plays of Shakespeare, but I felt very skeptical. He is also a man of his time, and how could the drama of a 17th century English playwright appeal to all readers? I changed my mind when I encountered a Hmong student named Chia Vang at Fresno State. The Hmong are an indigenous group. Hmong is spelled with a silent H, H-M-O-N-G. The Hmong are from Southeast Asia. They never really had a country, but they fought with the U.S. against the North Vietnamese in the Vietnam War. And they also fought with the U.S. in the so-called secret war in Laos. As a people with no country, I think the Hmong trusted the Americans more than they did the communist North Vietnamese. However, after the fall of Saigon, the Hmong were allowed refugee status in the U.S. Had they stayed in Vietnam, they would likely have been killed, or they would have been assigned to re-education camps. 2 cities were their main destinations: Fresno, California, and St. Paul, Minnesota. I witnessed how immigration can work. Young Hmong students were given access to inexpensive housing, education, and health care in Fresno. And we're not talking about a few people, we're talking about tens of thousands. I think the Hmong are now up to 70,000 in the US. They entered my university in record numbers. They graduated in droves, and they headed for the middle class. Many of them were English majors. We had the first BA in English by a Hmong American in the history of the world. We had the first MA in English by a Hmong American in the history of the world. Although Chia was an ESL learner, he told me that he understood characters like Macbeth. He was quite familiar with autocratic dictators because he told me about Vang Pao. Vang Pao was a Hmong leader who tried and failed to lure the Hmong back to Laos to fight against the communists. And he even went to Minnesota trying to recruit them. Chia said, "No way am I going back." Chia's academic achievement in Fresno State was remarkable. When he grew up in Laos, he spoke no English, but only the Hmong language, which had no written form, Later, the first grammar in Hmong was written by a linguistics professor at my university, but when he was there was no written form for his language. His religion, too, was foreign to the United States. He believed in animism, yet he understood Macbeth. Chia later became a high school English teacher who championed the teaching of Macbeth instead of Romeo and Juliet. He said that high school students today can relate much better to Macbeth. That's the usual choice. Used to be Romeo and Juliet. Later, he became a school administrator with his master's degree who encouraged many Hmong to go to college. Okay, our first reading is going to be from Macbeth. And this play is set in medieval Scotland during the continual war between King Duncan and his lords. At the beginning, Macbeth is being praised by the king for his bloody success in battle. The king orders the execution of the traitorous Thane of Cawdor, and he sends messengers to Macbeth that he will become the new Thane of Cawdor. Then, as you all know, 3 witches appear on the heath, predicting that Macbeth will be king hereafter. When Duncan himself travels to the Macbeth's castle, Macbeth has a moral choice. In the second soliloquy, there's going to be 2. This occurs after the suicide of Lady Macbeth. And Macbeth is a tragic hero because Macbeth never lies to himself.
If it were done when 'tis done, 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trample up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all, and the end-all here, but here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases, we have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught, return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of a poisoned chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, both strong against the deed. And then as his host, who should against the murder shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides this Duncan, he hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off, and pity like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, and tears shall drown the wind. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which o'erleaps itself and falls on the other. She should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day until the last recorded syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Now we have a second musical interlude by Miguel Omaña. to Miguel for playing music from the time of Cervantes and Shakespeare. Okay, now we move from tragedy to comedy. Twelfth Night, and a big part of Twelfth Night is the Puritan character Malvolio. Shakespeare, I think, despised Puritans because they banned plays. And they finally completely closed the theaters from 1642 to 1660. Why did they ban the plays? They disliked the bear baiting, the orange girls, and all the general merrymaking that the plays promoted. And remember, all the women's parts were played by men. They didn't like that. Very strict Puritans of the time even criticized Christmas, claiming it was a pagan festival. There was a fine of 5 shillings in London for participating in Christmas, and that happened for 2 years in a row. They did not allow women to wear makeup or colorful clothing. So what did they like? Okay, they promoted hard work and thrift. Although the character Malvolio is a hypocrite, and he's not averse to getting rich by social climbing. He's a steward in the house of the castle, the lady of the castle, Olivia. H.L. Mencken, I think, summed it up best by saying that Puritans had the haunting fear that someone, somewhere, might be happy. It occurs to me that Puritans are the exact opposite of Unitarian Universalists. Okay, so we're going to have 2 scenes again from Twelfth Night. In the first scene, Malvolio is contrasted with Maria, the lady of the castle, who, along with Fabian and others, set a trap for him. Her waiting woman, Maria, forges Olivia's handwriting in a letter to persuade Malvolio that Olivia loves him, because they think it's a great joke. Okay, he's instructed to wear yellow stockings and cross garters and to smile all the time. Olivia despises all 3 of these things. But Malvolio is so blinded by self-love, narcissism, okay, he doesn't even see the trick. And then there'll be a pause, and the second scene is when Malvolio finally figures out the trick, and he's furious. So we're going to have a pause here till we set up the mics and the chairs in front.
Where is Malvolio?
He's coming, madam, but in a very strange manner. He is sure possessed, madam.
Why, what's the matter? Does he rave?
No, madam, he does nothing but smile. Your ladyship were best to have some guard about you if he come, for sure the man is tainted in his wits.
Go call him hither. I am as mad as he, if sad and merry madness equal be. How now, Malvolio?
Sweet lady. Ho, ho.
Smilest thou? I sent for thee upon a sad occasion.
Sad, lady? I could be sad. This does make some obstruction in the blood, this cross-gartering, but what of that? If it please the eye of one, it is with me as the very true sonnet is. Please one and please all.
Why, how dost thou, man? What is the matter with thee?
Not black in my mind, but yellow in my legs. It did come to his hands, and commands shall be executed. I think we do know the sweet Roman hand.
Wilt thou go to bed, Malvolio?
To bed? Aye, sweetheart, and I'll come to thee.
God comfort thee. Why dost thou smile and kiss thy hand so oft?
How do you, Malvolio?
At your request? Yes, nightingales answer daws.
Why appear you with such ridiculous boldness before my lady?
Be not afraid of greatness. 'Twas well writ.
What mean'st thou by that, Malvolio?
Some are born great.
Ha?
Some achieve greatness.
What sayest thou?
And some have greatness thrust upon them.
Heaven restore thee.
Remember who commendeth the yellow stockings,
Thy yellow stockings?
and wish to see thee cross-gartered.
Cross-gartered?
Go to. Thou art made if thou desirest to be so.
Am I made?
If not, let me see thee a servant still.
Why, this is very midsummer madness. Good Maria, let this fellow be looked to. Where's my cousin Toby? Let some of my people have a special care of him. I would not have him miscarry for the half of my dowry.
Oh, do you come near me now? No worse man than Sir Toby looked to me. This concurs directly with the letter. She sends it to me on purpose that I may appear stubborn to him, for she incites me to that letter. Cast thy humble sloth, says she. Be opposite with the kinsman and surly with the servants. Put thyself into the trick of singularity, and consequently sets down the manner how, as a sad face, a reverent carriage, a slow tongue, in the habit of some syrup note, and so forth. I have limed her. But it is Jove's doing, and Jove must be thanked. And when she went away now, let this fellow be looked to. Fellow? Not Malvolio, nor after my degree, but fellow. Why? Everything adheres together. A dram of a scruple. No scruple of a scruple, no obstacle, no incredulous or unsafe circumstances. What can be said? Nothing that can be can come between me and the full prospect of my hopes. Well, Jove, not I, is the doer of this, and he is to be thanked.
How now, Malvolio?
Madam, you have done me wrong. Notorious wrong.
Have I, Malvolio?
Lady, you have.
No.
Lady, you have. Pray you peruse that letter. You must not now deny it is in your hand. Write from it if you can in hand or phrase, or say, "'Tis not your seal, not your invention." You can say none of this. Well, grant it then, and tell me, in the modesty of honor, why you have given me such clear lights of favor, bade me to come smiling and cross-gartered to you, to put on yellow stockings and to frown upon Sir Toby and the lighter people. And acting thus in an obedient hope, why have you suffered me to be imprisoned, kept in a dark house, visited by the priest, and made the most notorious geek and gull that ever invention played on? Tell me why.
Alas, Malvolio, this is not my writing, though I confess, much like the character. But out of question, 'tis Maria's hand. And now I do bethink me, it was she first told me thou wast mad, then cam'st in smiling, and in such forms that were here predisposed upon thee in the letter. Prithee, be content. This practice hath most shrewdly passed upon thee. But when we know the grounds and authors of it, thou shalt be both the plaintiff and the judge of thine own cause.
Good madam, hear me speak, and let no quarrel nor no brawl to come taint the condition of this present hour which I have wondered at. In hope it shall not, most freely I confess myself and Toby set up this device against Malvolio here, upon some stubborn and uncourteous parts we had conceived against him. Maria writ the letter at Sir Toby's great importance, in recompense whereof he hath married her. How with a sportful malice it was followed may rather pluck on laughter than revenge, if that the injuries be justly weighed that have on both sides passed.
Alas, poor fool, how they have baffled thee.
I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you.
Well, thank you to everybody. Thanks to all who participated here. I haven't heard Shakespeare since early college years. Never did fall in love with him. I wish I had. I'd like to share these closing words to our service by Cynthia Landrum, a UU lay leader. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we're together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving.